Hello, everybody. Welcome to McMaster and the Mic. I am Matt McMaster. I want to thank you all for joining me. Today is going to be a shorter episode, like I had mentioned in episode 1, so we're going to get right into it. Today, we're talking about the MLB and their Arizona plan. So the MLB has this idea. It's not really a plan yet. It's an idea that they are going to move their season to Arizona. A couple reasons as to why they would do this. First off, Arizona is a very hot place, right? You can play baseball all year round there if you needed to, which, I mean, I don't know if they'll need to do this, but if you could play baseball until December in Arizona. I mean, that's how the weather is. It's a very sunny and warm state, so you could do that. They already play the spring season there, so you already have a bunch of parks and locker rooms and all those logistics there for people to be in. So you're already you have the setup there to play baseball in Arizona. You have arenas, you have the season, you have the familiarity, right, of people who, most of those guys who are going to be, all those guys have played in Arizona, at least the majority of them. I think that I think there are some spring stuff in like Tampa and Florida. I don't know if they're going to play there right now. I've just heard Arizona, but it's kind of all set up there. But there's a lot of logistical issues that I don't think they're going to be able to do it. First off, do I like the idea? I don't dislike it. I really don't dislike any idea that has to do with bringing sports back. I miss sports. I want to watch sports, and any idea that brings it back to my life, no matter how ridiculous they may be, I'm going to be all for it. But I think in this case, it's not that I dislike the idea of playing in Arizona. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's attainable. I think there are a lot of problems that need to be solved, and I don't think they will be solved. First off, it's the revenue. It's money, isn't it? It's always about money. And the MLB knows that they want to start the season right away, because unlike the NBA and the NHL, they haven't been able to play 3/4 of their season and make a good amount of revenue, almost to the point where they broke even. I think NBA is close to the point where they're breaking even to what they've spent. At least most teams are. So they want to get the season started right away so they can make as much money as possible. Now, the MLB, though, is unique in the fact that it has revenue sharing. Now, the NBA and the NFL also has revenue sharing, but the MLB has a more team-friendly revenue sharing. There are requirements for the NBA and the NFL. There are no requirements for the MLB. How revenue sharing works is that each team puts in an X amount of money, or a percent amount of money, into a pot, and then they split that evenly. This is so that smaller market teams like the Oakland Athletics or the Tampa Bay Rays, the Miami Marlins, Milwaukee Brewers, they can take all that money, actually make money, add value to their franchise, and be more competitive. When they have all that money, they're going to be more willing to spend more money on their players on the field and be more competitive in the MLB. I mean, that's why the Brewers had no problem extending Christian Yelich this offseason, because part of the revenue sharing, they're getting a lot of revenue from that pot, and they're able to use it and be more competitive, which I think is great for the league. So in terms of revenue in Arizona, I think the big teams, and this is going to be, it was really hard for them to convince them about revenue sharing in the 90s. I mean, I don't know, I think there was a lockout season in the 90s, or the CBA agreements in the 90s were heavily over this, and it took a long time to get these big market teams to agree to revenue sharing. So I don't know how willing a team like the Yankees is going to be like, yeah, we're okay with, to begin with, not making that much money to start, and then giving a lot of it away to smaller market teams so they can stay competitive. I don't know how the revenue process is going to work. I don't know if bigger market teams are going to be more willing to give up money, knowing that smaller market teams need it more than they do. Now the funny thing is that the worth and the valuations of all the top 10 teams already came out. I mean, the Yankees are worth $4.4 billion this year. So I don't know if they could take the high road and be like, okay, we have a lot of money. We're willing to give up most of our revenue this year from playing in Arizona, so the smaller market teams can still be competitive. Or they could take the different road. They can be like, you know what? We're not making as much money to begin with. We're not going to take anything out of the pot that we've already made. We don't want to. You got to make your own revenue. And I don't know. I mean, that's going to be a tough negotiation and a lot of tough logistic things to figure out in terms of revenue. I mean, it's not going to be an easy road figuring out who's going to get what. And the thing is with Arizona is that they're really not that they're not any home teams. It's even if they do allow fans to be in Arizona, it's going to be a very limited amount. I mean, the MLB has to realize that they are going to make a lot less money this year, and it's really going to cripple the competitiveness of the league. And the reason why they're making these ideas and trying to get baseball out as quickly as possible is to limit that. Also, right, to go along with that, the CBA agreement is coming up soon. The collective bargaining agreement between the MLBPA and the MLB Players Association, and the MLB is coming up very soon. It's actually next year, December 1st, 2021. And it's going to, so it's not play this season, they'll play the 2021 season. So the 2022 season is going to be a season where there already is quite a bit of doubt, right? Going around if, you know, the MLB Players Association holds a lot of power, and they're gonna want what they want. If the MLB doesn't give it to them, they're gonna have no problem holding out, right? At least that's what I have read. And the big part of that too is the reason why Rob Manfred didn't punish any of the Houston Astros players this year, other than the fact that he's a wuss, is if he punished the Astros players, the MLB Players Association was going to be livid with him. And getting a deal done for the CBA was going to be a lot tougher, right? And now, here's a solution, right, to the whole losing revenue. How about we don't play the players as much? How about we don't? How about Garrett Cole? Yeah, I know you just signed a $36 million deal, but we're going to pay you less because, frankly, we don't really have the money to pay your contract. Same thing with Yelich. I mean, the Milwaukee Brewers are, now I don't know when his contract starts, but they might be more inclined to be like, well, we don't really have the money to pay you $30 million a year, right? So we don't want to pay you that. And that lessening the pay of MLB players is definitely going to set them off and set the MLB Players Association off and get them to the point where it's going to be almost nearly impossible to have a true negotiation for the CBA with them and potentially put the 2022 MLB season in jeopardy, which is why this whole situation of revenue and making money needs to come to the fact where there really there can't be a lot of negotiations between the players and the players and the owners, right? As soon as there is a negotiation over pay this season in the MLB between the players and the owners, that's when the 2022 season is in jeopardy. Because even if they come to a good compromise and it works out for both sides, the players are going to want to be paid in full. And the owners are going to want to make as much money as possible. And it's going to be hard to meet them halfway. Any negotiation is going to strain the relationship between the Players Association and the MLB, right? So in terms of revenue, solutions are going to cause problems. And problems are going to cause negotiations. And negotiations are going to cause a relationship between the MLBPA and the MLB owners to strain and put the 2022 season in jeopardy. That's why revenue is a big issue here, because it could cause a trickle-down effect. So I think the owners here, in order to save, to have a good relationship with the MLBPA, teams are going to need to support each other. And the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Cubs and those big market teams are going to be willing to take a loss in order to help the small markets pay their players, help them be able to continue to be competitive, right? Continue to be willing to spend more money on guys, right? To set the salary, to set what they're spending now on players the same, right? And the owners are going to have to be willing to take a loss here in order for everything to be just fine. Which, if I'm being honest, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think. Now, I'm not calling owners of the MLB greedy, right? I think some are. I think some are very good people, right? But when you look at it, it's a lot easier for you to say you have billions of dollars. Don't, be willing to take a loss and profit. I mean, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of these guys. And the quickest solution is going to be paying the players less, and that is going to be a nightmare scenario for the MLB entirely. So that's just one problem. That's one huge problem that could explode in the faces of the MLB this year and of the 2022 season. Secondly, the minor league system. The Major League Baseball season doesn't happen without the minor league system for a couple of reasons. First off, let's work with the on the field right now, right? A team like the Cubs have relievers who work in the 6th, 7th inning who are having a really bad season. They're younger guys, right? So they send them down to AAA and they bring up new guys, right, to give them a shot in the bullpen. That example happens across the league everywhere. The constant shifting of, guys sending down to AAA to work on their stuff and bringing up new guys for to prove themselves in situations in the MLB, right? That happens all the time. It happened last year with Rowan Wick with the Cubs. Alec Mills is a guy that is constantly being thrown up and thrown down. Dylan Maples is the same. He is constantly being put down and brought back up to the MLB. I mean, this happens all the time. Also with injuries, right? A guy like Robel Garcia, when Ben Zobrist went down, right? He had personal issues. The Cubs called Robel Garcia up for a couple of weeks to play left field and be like, all right, here's your shot, fill in this role for a bit, and then you're going to be sent back down, which he was, right? That happens everywhere. With injuries, the minor league system is needed. With the rotation of bullpen arms, the minor league system is needed. Even in the infield, when you have guys struggling. Addison Russell was struggling all season for the Cubs. They brought up Nico Horner, and they said, all right, Nico, here's your shot. Prove that you can be on this team next year. Prove that you can make an impact. And for the most part, he did, right? So the minor league system is essential in the MLB. And by moving everyone to Arizona, I mean, I haven't seen a plan for the minor league system. They don't mention the minor league system happening in Arizona. Now, they do mention that the possibility of expanding those rosters, but how much does that accomplish, right? Because, yes, the minor league system is a very good tool to be competitive in the MLB, but there's one thing, the main reason why it's used for, it's for the development of players. You use the minor league system to develop younger guys, right, in order for them to be on the MLB roster very soon. And by not making a plan for the minor league system, you're not developing those guys. You're not getting these guys the 500 minor league at-bats they need, right, in order for them to develop into everyday MLB players. Or if you got a younger prospect who's a star, who you think will be a star, he needs to develop as well. These guys need at-bats. They need innings. They need to develop in the minor league system. And by moving everyone to Arizona, you're kind of throwing out the idea of having a minor league system happen this season. The minor leagues need to occur, right, in order not only for the now of baseball, but the future of baseball. You can't push back the development of a player by 1 year. You can't tell a guy like Wander Franco, an 18-year-old shortstop who's ranked 1 or 2, I don't know off the top of my head, on the MLB Pipeline Top 100 Prospects. You can't tell him, all right, Wander, sit on the couch for this year because you're not ready to be in the MLB, but we don't have a minor league season this year. You can't tell him that. That's going to completely stunt his growth. It's going to enable him. It's not going to enable him to potentially be the star he can be, right? You can't tell these minor league guys who you need to develop into future MLB players to just take a break this season. They need to develop. You need to get them the bats, the innings, the situations. You need to get them those games. And I think it's all fine and dandy if they move the league to Arizona and they figure out a way to play in Arizona, but they need to figure out a way to have a minor league season. They need it because it's all about the future of the MLB. It's about the now of the MLB. Also, the minor league system makes a lot of flexibility for teams. Even the best teams need the ability to send down bullpen arms, bring up new bullpen arms, or do rehab assignments in the minor league system. Or if you're a really bad team, we talked about the art of rebuilding last episode. And a big part of rebuilding is experimentation. It's just taking flyers on guys and seeing that, it's a long shot, but maybe this guy can become the key role player that we need, or a key starter that we didn't really think he could be. Look at Baltimore, right? I mean, you look at their roster. I'm sure there's about 50 guys that played on that team last year because they are just bringing up and sending down guys from the minor league system to see if they can become what they need and experiment and figure out ways to do so to find the players they need to eventually win a championship, right? That's a big part of rebuilding. I mean, you saw it with, the Cubs, they put like Junior Lake and Arismendi Alcantara and Nate Shearholtz and I can't really think of more off the top of my head, but these are guys that just came from the minor league system that the Cubs thought, okay, let's just give them a shot and see if they can become the player we need them to be, right? That needs to happen in the minor league system. It's so important for smaller market teams and even bigger market teams who are trying to fill the positions of those later bullpen roles, right? Or the earlier ones. I mean, if you're a playoff team, you already have your 8th, your 9th inning guy. But maybe your starter doesn't go out well and, only goes 5 innings. You need that 6th inning guy. So that's why the minor league system is so important. It gives a lot of teams flexibility, right? It gives the development of players, and cool, move everyone to Arizona, but you have to figure out a way to play the minor league season. I mean, the minor league season is so important in the MLB. A couple notes about Arizona as well. First off, it's a very simple, very basic. The baseball games aren't timed. They're 9 innings. They range anywhere from 3.5 hours to 2.5 to 6 hours, 7-hour games, right? That happens. So it's hard to kind of schedule a game in the same arena, right? Like, all right, you're playing at 12, and then you're playing at 5, and then this game will be played at 9. What if that 12 o'clock game goes 13 innings, and it's 7.5 hours? You're going to cancel the game right there. And then there was the whole proposition of let's play 7-inning games. I don't know. Tell me how you feel about that. Tell me how you feel about 7-inning games in the comments. To me, I don't like it. I like 9 innings. I think 9 innings, it puts an emphasis on the beginning, the middle, and the end. And I think that, baseball is such a methodical sport that I think 9 innings is perfect. I don't want to quicken up the game. I've never been that person to be like, the game needs to be quicker, right? When people talk about, they take different aspects of the game of there needs to be more offense in the game, or let's eliminate the shifts so there's more offense in the game and more guys can get hits, fine. I'm cool with that. But the whole, this game should only last 2.5 hours, I think that's ridiculous. I think it takes away the art and maybe even the beauty of all right, let's bring in Derek Holland, who's really good at throwing at left-handed pitchers, okay, or left-handed hitters. Okay, you got that left-hander out. All right, let's bring in this guy. I think that's the strategy in the art. I think the 9 innings brings out the genius in managers, and I think by shortening that, you're kind of shortening the strategy and the methodical art of the game of baseball. I don't like the whole 7-inning idea. If you want to say let's play a bunch of let's just do double headers, fine. But I don't know how enthusiastic these guys are going to be with playing baseball at 11 o'clock and then potentially ending at 8, or starting at 1 and then getting out at 11, and then they got to do it again. I think that the easiest way, now, if I were fixing the MLB, my idea, let's just shorten the season. Shorten the season. In terms of revenue, I think if I was the Rob Manfred, I'd have to tell the owners, look, you're going to have to take a loss this year, and smaller market teams are going to need some help. In terms of the players, I mean, if the CBA agreement happened last year, right, if we already had a new CBA agreement, I think it would be easier to tell the players, look, you're going to have to take a pay cut this year, but the fact that it's coming up on us pretty quickly, after this season, but after the next one, right? I think it's what 20? No, after next. So not this season, the next one. I think it's pretty risky to tell the players to take a pay cut. Frankly, I think it's very risky, especially with how much power the MLB Players Association has. So there's a lot of, and that's because this is moving to Arizona. Now the whole MLB Players Association and the MLB and the CBA agreement, that's going to happen regardless if they move it to Arizona or not. That's just one big problem that moving to Arizona won't solve, and I think that's kind of why they want the season to happen as quickly as possible so they can make as much money and still have a good relationship with the MLBPA. But I don't think moving to Arizona is going to solve that. I think the whole scheduling, the revenue share, how they're going to do the revenue, the minor league system. I mean, like I said, there needs to be a minor league season this year in order for the MLB to run not only this season, but in the future seasons. I mean, we don't want to stunt the growth of really promising MLB players that aren't quite ready to start in the MLB yet. So there's a lot of things that the MLB needs to solve, and I don't think Arizona is doing that. Now, if you want to come up with more ideas, I'm all for it. But I don't think just moving everyone to Arizona is like the end-all, be-all. All right, that's a great decision because it's really sunny and we can play baseball for a while there. I don't think that works. I think there are too many problems, and I don't think they're solved with moving to Arizona. I don't know how they're solved, to be quite honest with you, but I don't think moving to Arizona is the end-all, be-all. And we didn't really, I mean, there are still, like, little things that you need to touch up there, right? I mean, like, are players going to be comfortable with moving their whole family to Arizona or leaving their family completely to go to Arizona, right? With the whole, okay, you don't have a minor league system, but are you going to do a 40-man roster, and how effective is that going to be, right? There's just all these little things, but the two big things for me are the minor league system and revenue. And the whole shortening of the game, I don't think that's going to work, and scheduling. And that's a lot of problems to solve, and I don't think Arizona does that. So, all right, that's episode 2 of McMaster and the Mic. I want to thank you all for listening. It's a 22-minute video, so it's not that bad. Yeah, if you have any suggestions for episode 3, leave them in the comments down below. If you have any questions or comments or whatever, leave them in the comments. I'll definitely look over them, and I love reading that stuff. So, sounds great. I will see you Saturday. Episode 3 coming out Saturday. Thank you.